Proposition by the Fitness Business Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Pellegrino. The Value Proposition is a monthly show on the Fitness Business Podcast created specifically for industry suppliers to showcase the value that they bring to health club owners and operators beyond their product and service. For our July 2022 show, we'll be speaking with Allison Porter, Director of Sales East and Strategic Accounts for Ecore. This month, we're building a solid foundation when it comes to holistic design and flooring and letting you know how you can improve your business from the ground up. Allison is a dear friend of mine and a mentor for me as a woman on the supplier side of this amazing industry of ours, and I am more than thrilled to welcome her to the show. Allison, welcome to the Value Proposition.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. And I know we've talked about doing this. I'm glad we're finally able to. It's really one of those things that I, of course, want to connect with you, and it's a great opportunity industry-wide. Video is not my favorite thing, as you know, so.
We're testing limits.
We're testing limits, exactly.
We're getting a flooring company on the Value Prop. We are here for it. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, Allison, start us off. Tell our FBP family a little bit about Ecore and the type of flooring products that you all sell.
We were founded in 1871, and it's actually ecological recycling is what Ecore means. When I learned that, I thought that was really quite interesting. And family owned and operated back such a long, long time ago. Uniquely started out with simple court closures. And so even back at that time in little old Lancaster, Pennsylvania, it's kind of remarkable, really, to be as innovative as the founders were and still continue to be as somewhat disruptive. And so started out with the court closures and has expanded into an expansive operation of manufacturing where we essentially transform reclaimed materials. So all of the commercial tires, landfills, the 18-wheelers, the massive supply chain and operations we see throughout North America and other areas of the world, actually, we use that rubber and create unique performance surfaces. We are really the dominator of rubber world. I feel like as I continue to learn more.
I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So much history there too.
It is. And that's the thing I will say too that really set it apart initially when I first started to find out about the company, because you don't find that, right? I mean, especially today where it is that rich and that legacy, if you will, in terms of how the company was built, the foundation, not to be too kitschy, but yeah.
Play on our title here.
Exactly.
Now, Allison, we are a global podcast. So going on with that theme, is this a global company?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, we are global. And our go-to-market structure, so we are the largest manufacturer of rubber in North America and distribute from here, which is also a bit more unique than people, not just in this ancillary space, for fit and finish and materials, but for a lot of the assets and different experiences throughout the clubs that we see, the wellness centers, and so on. So we are global and proudly made in the U.S.
I love to hear that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So we've talked about rubber. What other types of flooring do you all sell? I'm assuming turf. What are some other ones?
This is what's so interesting. It's really many different types. So resilient flooring, if you will, performance surfaces. The uniqueness of Ecore is within our space. I spent most of my career. It's really been fitness related. And I think many people are, see the value of Ecore, and they have throughout and always known it's a really quality product. It's amazing, for the energy restitution, the shock absorption, the properties that you need for the weight room, for the courts, for the recreation, for fitness, for places from like Midtown to Copa Soccer to Planet, pretty much the broad spectrum. But what's really cool is that we make so many different things. And if you were doing a facility, it's important, I think, whoever you're working with Ecore, to really try to understand, especially now as we've launched more stuff, what are these other resilient opportunities, right? Like, because essentially with the rubber, what we have that's more unique too is the vulcanized composition rubber it's an underlayment to some of the other materials that we make. So although aesthetically, it's not that glamorous and it may not seem like, oh, it's that gym type flooring that you see, there's so many options, right? So in any of the amenity areas, we have in the court areas, even now sport court classified as court 1 and court 2. There's kind of endless areas that we can cover at this point.
We are a fitness business podcast, but
Right.
I always like asking what other industries companies work in, right? So you said that you had some fun projects that were actually outside of fitness too. So I'm just curious, company-wide, something that you're on, doesn't matter, but just what other industries is Ecore dabbling in right now?
Well, we really cover so many, if you will, from, outdoor playgrounds, industrial, hospitals, healthcare, wellness, hospitality, commercial retail, open spaces, fields. We are expanding on that now, even athletic capabilities. So that's where it is so interesting, because even though Ecore is fairly known throughout like the fitness world, if you will, I'm not sure people realize that we are so broad and can cover so many different areas, if you will, on a go-to-market.
If I were to ask you, what is one thing that sets Ecore apart from its competition, what would you say?
In terms of Ecore and our values and mission, if people are interested in getting to know more about companies, especially if you want to scale a partnership and stuff, I do think it's important. And they're really instilled in this business. So Ecore also internally represents excellence, compassion, innovation, trust, and empowerment. And in my past lives, especially the most recent, when you align with company beliefs and culture, and in our world in fitness, to make a positive difference, it's really pretty easy, right? So I feel like we're almost a natural fit because we're very focused on the customer. I mean, it is not just this commoditized material that people are slinging. You know what I mean? I mean, it's really thoughtful, if you will, with tremendous resource and expertise. And that's the other thing that's been really interesting to also now do more of. The team is deep with resources, like some of the folks that I now work with more closely are from a very different space in design and construction and flooring. And I will say that's extremely important, right? And to marry it in a way with some of the fitness, wellness, and some of our healthcare specialties and athletics, I really, we talk about it a little bit, I hope I'm not saying too much, but kind of as an orchestra and how we all work together. It is happening. And I think, so I do think that's more than one thing, I apologize, but uniquely different in the sense of the customer-centric capability, but being really fluid on the approach, which some people, have a tricky time with. But if you understand, especially today's customer, you have to be so flexible, I think, and fluid. Yeah, so I'd say people really set us apart, the values, the quality, if you will, and that is a bit of table stakes. So marrying the fitness, wellness, healthcare, hospitality, specialty expertise, along with real design, commercial construction, and product technical expertise, I do think sets us apart. We are the original and have pretty much set the stage, if you will, for what should happen. At least that's my view, maybe because I'm newer into it, of the industry. And, really the leader, if you will, in sustainability, in the upcycling process, in performance materials. So,
you are manufacturing the product yourself as well, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So really we are, 100% US manufactured in terms of how that's classified, as well as expanded on that. So at the end, right after I joined too, we had, well, a change in ownership, technically speaking, but a wonderful thing when you think about it for us as a larger partner. It's important to know. So Commonwealth Partners is a private equity firm that owns Ecore today, with our president, Art Dodge, one of the family founders, now CEO and chairman of the board, running that, if you will, and leading that part of the business. However, that investment, right, gives us the opportunity to do all these other things where I'm touching on with the other markets. So, and I think too, people within the fitness world, if you look at some of the folks that are on the team, some, seasoned people really in different parts of the country, the quality you can see also is there of how we work with customers. We really have an amazing team. There's a lot of expertise, I would say, on the Ecore team.
I love to hear that. And you and I have spoken at length, Allison, about the holistic approach that you take, not just to flooring, but really consider the whole design, right, when coming in to work on that floor. So talk to me a little bit about your process. Let's say I'm listening to this podcast right now and I'm getting ready to open a fitness facility and I need flooring. Where do you come in and start? Do you see face? Do we do virtual? How does that first meeting go?
However it is that we are starting to capture information with the customer, it's important to really understand the space and what the experience, this is how I like to approach it when I say holistic, is that the operator is expecting, and then how could, if any, Ecore capabilities start to support that, right? So not just the table stakes for us is, okay, where are we going to focus on safety and make sure we have the correct ergonomics and make sure it's the right performance? A lot of people just see, in fitness, we'll just have speckled rubber and it's this, that, and the other thing. And there's tons of product out there. I'm not saying there isn't some basic things, just like a treadmill. Yeah. Somewhat basic, right? But if you have, acoustic challenges, or you're in the cities, or if you even want something a little bit different because you care more to lean into sustainable throughout the entire project, that's areas that I think we can also help support better. So a deep understanding really about the project, about the customer, some of the brands we already have current brand standards with, like there is in equipment and other services, right? But as much and as closely as we can work with the customers, and on a larger scale, what we're doing is working on specifications for certain models. So some of the areas that you and I have talked about that I'm tasked with, right, that are not fitness, it may be retail, but there's new specification now for that new model. Similar as there would be, let's say, for the YMCAs, if there was a new rollout, just as an example, or a brand, if you will. So they're the areas we can also work really closely with designers, acoustical engineers, and if it's not your direct Ecore contact, it's that person as a bit of a liaison and making sure that it is the correct dealer and our partner that may have a bigger focus in that area, right? Because we have some partners that have worked with us a long time and they know the customer as well as us, so we really want to just make sure that we are a bigger resource than I certainly do, than just some rolled goods, if you will. And the only way I think you can do that holistically is think about what's happening today. And I am so focused on movement being medicine and, really being much more mindful and somewhat inward turning, just, for members and for operators. I personally think it's really, really important.
Awesome. Allison, I'm curious. So going back to just the whole design element, what are some, if any, mistakes that you have seen your clients make when ordering floor? Is it that they're in a city gym and they don't layer things properly and then it's too loud underneath? Like, what are you seeing? How can we help someone not make the same mistake?
That's an interesting question. I would say, not understanding the substrate, something again that I probably really didn't consider, because even in, working on the asset side, where in the city and in different cardio mezzanines and so on, there was always, different things are going to cause more sound as well as vibration, right? And there's certain ways machines are made that can mitigate that. But now thinking about that combination with underlayment and with what we do, that is something that I've definitely seen actually mistakes on. And it's not that fun to have to rectify after the fact. So again, how we mentioned it a little bit earlier, the more that can be really understood deeply, by the Ecore, by us, with the designer, or the GC, the flooring contractor, we work with all of them, however we need to, the better, right? And also other things of how people sometimes installation, just like it would be with a lot of products, right? So there can be mistakes there if, sometimes folks say, yes, we've done this, and they really haven't. So,
or you can catch the mistake before it's installed.
Exactly. And acclimating material, that's a unique thing too, right? Kind of different from equipment where you want to make sure power's ready, or it's similar but different. But you got to have it in before anything else happens. So it really is integral. It's quite important.
So I'm assuming what you mean by that, and I'm going to clarify because someone may be thinking what I'm thinking. So if you are going into a really cold climate or a really hot climate, are you going to install the floor and let it sit for a day or two so there's no bubbles, so it doesn't shrink? What do you mean by that?
Yes. So there is technically an acclimation time, like a 24 to 48 hours of acclimating material within a space before it is adhered or really fully installed, if you will. And I maybe, have to check on certain materials, certain timeframes, but the technical piece is important, and the substrate conditions. Mm-hmm. Sometimes this happens in smaller scenarios where someone may be the GC, they're the personal trainer, they're everything, right? Yeah. There could be some unknowns that there's a crack, you really needed some crack suppression, or it's uneven, or, an old racquetball court, like, it doesn't matter, let's just slap something on. So it is important to follow the technical requirements for sure. And it's quite simple. Yeah. So I just want to be really clear, I get it. It's really simple. So I don't want to make it sound like it's not.
But we cannot rush install. We're going to
can't rush install, it's an investment, right? Yeah. So like everything, you want to make sure it's done properly.
So I saw you in action at Ursa last month, and I thought it was very interesting. Someone came over to you and they asked if you had a certain color turf, to which you pulled out your amazing turf book and did have quite a few custom colors. So explain the degree of customization that you are really able to do with these surfaces.
Well, the customization we mostly can do, being really upfront, is within our logo process, right? So it's a process it's a water jet cut. And it's really, really, really beautiful. Like all of the athletic centers, some of the larger brands, at their entryways, if you see that logo inlaid into the floor, it's not a decal, it's actually rubber. It's our material, custom designed and specified and made to order as a unique product. The other customizations, we can do our colors. And what's also unique about Ecore is that we make our own EPDM, which is the material used with the vulcanized composition rubber to create the colors. And on the turf, we can do some things with painting and so on, but it's important to clarify, what you're doing. Are you doing sleds? Do you want people just laying down? Because, there's some options that are better than others. But I will say, the customization, like anything, it's going to be a different type of cost when it comes to more colors. It's definitely going to be aligned with something more custom.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Thank you for expanding on that. Now, Allison, are there any cool or new and improved products that you are just loving educating the market?
Well, at Ursa, we did have new products, which was very cool. There's a bunch of new athletic products and colors, as well as new baller product, it's for courts. So we have, certified capability now with even more playing capability. So if you will, it's approved for Court 1, a Sport Court 1 and a Sport Court 2, similar to an acoustic rating. It is something that we have been recognized for with these new materials. It's also, we launched with more commercial wear layers. So personally, I am very happy to see even more expanded upon that, because it is really important outside of these weight room areas. As well as more, I would say, outdoor capability with fields and build on site systems. Just there's Bo Barber, who is really he is the senior vice president of product, marketing, and he is very capable of a lot of really interesting and cool ideas. So he and the product team, I think, have a lot more going on. It's just we need production and operations and this workforce to be able to support it, so yeah.
We at the Fitness Business Podcast will be cheering you all on. We cannot wait to see all the new products you all come up with. That's great.
Awesome.
Now, Allison, why should a fitness business operator in the market for flooring call you and your team over anyone else?
If you want a thoughtful approach, right, and really working sincerely with expertise, and I'm not speaking about myself necessarily, but throughout the team, throughout our organization, with the most, I would say, internal caring and customer focused team, if the experience matters and that anything after the fact matters, we really excel there. So I would say that thinking about working directly with the manufacturer, we are the largest manufacturer of rubber in North America, and I'm not sure that we've always been as bold to express, all of the capabilities that we do. And some seasoned people, right? All throughout the country. It's not like just in the Northeast or in the South or in the West. We have people that, as I mentioned, with that fitness and wellness, hospitality, healthcare, flooring, construction design, we really have a lot of deep resources. Not a lot of people have that. They don't have acoustical engineers on hand. And I believe, in the vision of a world free of rubber waste. I mean, it is ambitious. If you met our CEO, I should say at this point, Chairman Art Dodge, and the leadership team, they're really passionately focused about doing the right things, and that will become more important in our world. So this circular, technology that we're creating, that you'll see more of as we expand in our capability, not just to upcycle, but to really close the loop, if you will, that's very compelling. So that's a couple of reasons that I think, I'm really impressed by the team, and it's a great company. So
that's amazing. So Allison, is there a sales line? Is there a sales email? How are we reaching out to you if someone wants to get started with Ecore?
Well, I guess I thought in the notes we could put, all of the points of contact throughout the country we had mentioned, if that's okay, and
Absolutely.
some of the regions and specialties. And then, of course, I'm available, whatever you give me the guidance on, and we're happy to connect folks.
For our FBP listeners, we are going to put the correct salespeople with the correct regions on our show notes, and you can find those at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Allison, thank you so much for all of your wonderful insights today on Ecore. To our listeners, thank you all so much for listening to the value proposition for building a solid foundation with Ecore. Tune in Friday, August 19th for our next value proposition episode. And to show we walk the talk at the Fitness Business Podcast, all the resources and links for today's show can be found at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, adding value to our FBP family. Until next month, what you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. See you next month, FBP family.